You have 72 hours to get them out.
They're getting a visitor.
You gotten people out this way before?
No.
You're asking us to trust you with our lives.
This is what I do, and I've never left anyone behind.
I know who they are, and they know they're hiding out.
It's over, Tony.
If they stay here, they will be taken. Probably not alive.
We're responsible for these people. I'm responsible.
Argo, from surprise rising star director Ben Affleck, is pretty much the favorite going into the Academy Awards to win Best Picture. Now, outside of like maybe a single trailer a few months ago, I had no idea what this movie was, really going to be like. And honestly, it was very refreshing going into a movie and having absolutely zero expectations of the film outside of just its quality. And oh boy, did Argo impress me. I don't know why I didn't see this movie sooner. It's really, really interesting. During the storming of the American embassy in Tehran in 1979, 6 people escaped to the Canadian ambassador's house in the city. There they remained in hiding for months and months as the CIA tried to figure out a way to get them out of the country. Of course, eventually they come up with the so stupid it has to work plan of faking a movie and using its production as a cover by getting in and out of the country posing as a film crew. For the record, I thought of this a while ago and used it a few times, but none of the girls ever believed that I'm remaking Psycho. Like I said, I didn't know really what to expect when the lights went down, but luckily Argo has a really strong first impression. It starts, of course, with a little backstory on the political unrest of Iran at the time, and then it cuts to the U.S. Embassy itself and the angry mob of protesters outside reaching the breaking point and rushing in. This is a very intense segment. It's been a while since a film I've seen has so well captured the fear of the mob. I mean, a person or even a group you can kind of reason with or something, but not a mob. A mob is really the personification of a strong unifying emotion, and you honestly can't stop it. And its results are terrifying to behold. And this scene only lasts a few minutes, but later on in the review, I'll explain why it has such a big impact. Cut to America, where our hero Ben Affleck, sorry, I'll always refer to him as that, is brought in to help figure out this mess. For the most part, his performance is solid, but he does do especially well in a few key aspects. First, he's a great mix of the professional and then real human being when he's in Iran. I mean, he's usually the calm, steady hand that keeps everyone in line, keeps the mission on track, focused on that mission. But then every once in a while, he has to kind of appeal to people's emotions and get them through this incredibly stressful time. Affleck is also good at being a meh actor. Let me rephrase that. Ben Affleck's really good at portraying a character who's a meh actor. I really liked the few scenes where the character had to play the producer, had to play that film producer guy, and it came off a little shaky. I think that's a really good touch, because if it was a flawless portrayal, we would have seen Ben Affleck behind the disguise. But because it's not quite as solid as they probably would have hoped, we see the character behind the disguise. It's very subtle and very well done. And finally, while the relationship between him and his wife didn't really do anything for me, mostly because it, just like mentioned twice, I did really get into the relationship between him and his son, who lives with his mother in a different state. So Ben Affleck is about to fly to Iran, where, he's most likely going to be brutally and publicly murdered. But still, he calls his son for his birthday. And when no one answers, does he walk away to board his plane? No, he sends a postcard. Well done, sir. To be honest, I cared about this relationship way before, early in the film, when he calls up his son, turns the TV to the same channel as him, and they watch a movie together via the telephone. Curse you, Ben Affleck, for exploiting my soft spot for father-son bonding over movie scenes. I have a really specific soft spot. Argo is pretty much divided into 2 sections, and they certainly seem like an odd couple. The first part focuses mainly on the faking of the movie. Here we meet John Goodman as a delightfully playful makeup artist, and Alan Arkin playing the bitter yet still humorous big-name producer. It is odd just how funny this part is. The characters are extremely likable, their interactions are great, and there are a lot of good Hollywood jokes especially, most of which are centered around the hilariously blatant Star Wars ripoff they're filming. As soon as Affleck flies to Iran though, the mood changes. Now he has the near impossible task of teaching 6 people who he's never met before their fake personas, all while trying to make sure their incredibly fragile cover isn't broken, and, of course, being in the country where he could be executed at any time if they realize he's an American. As for the 6 people that were in hiding in Iran, they aren't really developed. They have a few scenes where they interact, but for the most part, maybe 1 or 2 are actually kind of memorable in something they do. But it should be said that I cared about them. I wanted them all to get out, so that's definitely something. Also, all of the men look like characters from Anchorman. Sorry, I couldn't get over the mustaches. Now here's where the beginning scene I was telling you about comes into effect, and where the film's greatest strength lies. Every single second the characters are in Iran, the mood is utter vulnerability, and I was on the edge of my seat. Literally the entire time. I don't know if it was just me, but there was this constant dread of them being discovered. I felt like they were in actual danger, which doesn't happen a lot in films. I think it really was watching the U.S. Embassy fall to that unstoppable wave of protesters at the beginning, because at any time you know that could happen again. In fact, it would be much easier now. It also helped that I personally didn't know how many people, if any, got out of Iran in that situation. So I'm glad it was based off a lesser known real life event than, say, the death of Osama bin Laden, or the sinking of the Titanic. I'm sorry I can't quite place why, but all I know is that a movie hasn't gotten this consistent of an emotional response from me since... I do have one kind of major complaint, and that's the ending. I won't spoil anything, but it became really cliche Hollywood, I guess. It was kind of off-putting. I think it could have been done a lot better. Yeah, this sounds really weak and vague, but I'd rather come across as weak and vague than actually spoil anything of this film. So go see it for yourself, and I think you'll probably understand where I'm coming from. Obligatory controversy addressing segment begins now. Turns out that there are some factual inaccuracies. Mostly, though, people are up in arms about Ben Affleck not being nominated for Best Director at the Academy Awards. And yeah, I can actually relate to that. The humor of the Hollywood scenes and the intense drama of the Iran scenes are not easy to put together. Making it not feel awkward was a difficult task, and such a task could not be accomplished in writing or editing. It had to be Affleck's direction. This was dangerous, and while all the pieces of greatness could have been there with anyone in the chair, he kept it all together. So yeah, I definitely do think he deserves a nomination. Glad to see him win a Golden Globe, though. You guys have almost redeemed yourself for giving Best Picture to Avatar. Alright, let's check the gate. Ben Affleck's Argo gets a... Let's see, is it good? Absolutely. Is it great? Yes. Is it excellent? Yeah, right on the nose, right on the nose. Argo gets a 90. I highly, highly suggest you all go see it if it's at all possible, and I certainly hope it wins Best Picture at the Academy Awards. I think it deserves it. I just realized that some screenwriter thought their movie was being produced, then it turned out it was all a government-run scam. I want to hear that guy's story. Sequel? Hey, thanks for watching my review. The Academy Awards are tonight, and I am really, really excited. So I actually covered a few other Best Picture nominees of this year, so go ahead and click the annotations to check out my reviews of Les Miserables and Zero Dark 30. Did that describe the scene well? Is that a jumbled mess?
Well, they don't really watch the movie together. He calls and he's like, "Oh, what are you watching?"
He said, "What are we watching?" And he turns it to the Sci-Fi Channel.
Oh, he says, "What are we watching?"
Yeah.
Not the Sci-Fi Channel. It's Channel 6, I think it was. There was no Sci-Fi.
Right.
Channel.
What I mean is the sci-fi movie is on the channel.
Yes. Okay. And that's what gets me.
You're being that guy. You're being
that guy.
You're being that guy. You're just... Shut up and let me drink. Where did it go wrong?